A gift of peace. Alara gulped, her throat parched. The translator implant, a cold shard nestled against her skull, amplified the tempest of alien feelings threatening to drown her. Dread mingled with fascination. Suspicion danced with nascent hope, a swirling vortex painting her mind in queasy colors. Beside her, Commander Ryland stood as an island of calm, his quiet resolve a much-needed anchor. "Ready?" he murmured, his voice a fragile thread against the transport's drone. She managed a nod, twisting her lips into a semblance of a smile. "As I'll ever be." The doors sighed open, revealing a chamber that rendered her previous understanding of scale laughable. The Galactic Council's meeting place wasn't merely vast, it felt boundless, its vaulted ceiling dissolving into projected nebulae. Individual platforms, miniature ecosystems representing the homeworlds of countless species, formed a ring around the central dais point. One shimmered with lacquered scales. Another sprouted metallic flora, while a third pulsed with the eerie glow of bioluminescent fungi. Led by Ryland, the human delegation, a carefully curated mix of diplomats, scientists, and military personnel, stepped onto the dais. 1,000 alien gazes, multifaceted, reptilian, insectoid, avian, converged upon them. Alara felt the weight of their scrutiny like a palpable force. "Greetings, representatives of Earth," resonated a voice from the dais, the amplified tone, emanating from a being of pure energy contained within a shimmering field, vibrated through the chamber. "Counselor Lyra." 9. The council's speaker, Ryland advanced. "Greetings, Counselor Lyra 9, esteemed counselors, we come in peace, bearing a gift of understanding." He indicated Alara. "This is Alara, an empath, capable of perceiving and sharing the emotions of others." A ripple of incredulity spread through the assembly, a frigid wave washing over Alara. She squeezed her eyes shut, latching onto the single, unwavering note of hope emanating from Ryland. She amplified it, projecting it outwards like a beacon, a gentle wave of serenity against the brewing storm. Opening her eyes, she focused on a jade-scaled reptilian counselor. Perched rigidly on his platform, he exuded a deep-seated fear, a primal instinct honed by eons of territorial conflict. Alara reached out, not with words, but with sensation. She offered him a vision of an earth forest bathed in sunlight, the whisper of leaves, the grounding warmth of soil. She gifted him with the tangible essence of peace. The counselor's scaled hand twitched, the severe line of his jaw eased, almost imperceptibly. Next, she turned to an insectoid counselor, his multifaceted eyes gleaming with suspicion. He radiated sharp, analytical intellect, dissecting every nuance, searching for artifice. Alara offered him transparency, a pure, unfiltered stream of information, a glimpse into Earth's scientific pursuits, its technological advancements, its collaborative aspirations. The insectoid counselor tilted his head, antennae twitching, a spark of curiosity flickered within the depths of his multifaceted gaze. Counselor Zorgan 7, a being of enigmatic origin swathed in a complex biomechanical suit, observed the proceedings with cold calculation, that he felt nothing but in emptiness. Alara's efforts to quell the anxieties of the others were an impressive, if simplistic, performance. Zorgan 7's mind, however, was a citadel, impervious to such rudimentary emotional manipulation. Asterisk intriguing. Asterisk he mused, his thoughts echoing silently within his suit. Asterisk but genuine, or a weapon of subtle design, masquerading as diplomacy? Earth demonstrates an unusual rate of progress for so nascent a species, and their past marked by violence. Unpredictable. Asterisk. He watched as Alara reached out to another counselor, a sentient crystal radiating a profound sense of solitude. He noted the crystalline form shimmer, a faint luminescence returning to its depths. Asterisk such potential to mold emotions on a galactic scale. Hazardous. Extremely hazardous. Asterisk he tapped a series of commands into his console, discreetly accessing Earth's historical archives, delving into its ancient conflicts, its suppressed technologies, The council speaker cleared its energy. "Your empath is noteworthy, Commander Rylan. However, emotions are transient, subjective. They provide no firm foundation for interstellar discourse." "With respect, Counselor Rylan countered, his voice firm. "Understanding is the bedrock of any union. Alara offers us the opportunity to truly comprehend one another, transcending the confines of language and culture." Alara sensed the speaker's doubt, yet also a faint tendril of hope, buried deep within its ancient awareness. Hope that perhaps this volatile, unpredictable species from Earth could offer something of genuine value to the galaxy. Something beyond armaments and aggression. Zorgan, 7, remained impassive, his internal algorithms worrying that he needed further data. Much further data. The fate of the galaxy might well hinge on it. The failsafe. Alara beamed, her small hand gesturing towards the shimmering holographic projections displaying the collaborative energy matrix. "And as you can see," she chirped, her voice amplified slightly by the council chamber's acoustics, "the instability issues have been mitigated by—" Her words dissolved into a wet cough. Alara stumbled, her eyes widening in confusion as she clutched at her throat. The holographic display flickered, then died, plunging the chamber into a disconcerting semi-darkness. The collective gasp rippled through the assembled dignitaries. "Alara!" Ambassador Thorn roared, his voice cracking with panic. He surged forward, nearly knocking over a diminutive Gloronian delegate in his haste. He reached Alara just as her knees buckled, catching her before she hit the polished obsidian floor. Her skin was clammy and cold. Thorn felt for a pulse, his fingers trembling. Nothing. Her eyes were vacant, unseeing. "Medic! Someone get a medic!" Thorn's voice was raw, desperate. A ripple of controlled chaos erupted. The council guards, clad in their ceremonial chrome armor, moved with practiced efficiency, attempting to clear a path. Council Elder Forlag, his reptilian face a mask of carefully constructed concern, barked orders in a language Thorn didn't understand. "What's happening? What's wrong with her?" Counselor Zhao demanded, his voice sharp and accusatory as he pushed through the throng of aliens. Alara lay motionless in Thorn's arms, her breathing shallow and ragged. Counselor Zhao knelt, placing 2 fingers on her throat in the same spot Thorn had checked. "She has a pulse, barely." A medic, an insectoid being with multiple spindly arms, finally arrived, scuttling forward with a medical scanner, IT word, and clicked as it passed over Alara's body. The medic clicked its mandibles in what Thorn assumed was a gesture of dismay. "Toxic exposure." The medic chirped in heavily accented Galactic standard. "Rapid cellular degradation. Untreatable with current technology." Thorn felt a surge of pure, unadulterated rage. Untreatable. What the hell are you talking about? This is the Galactic Council. You have technology that can move planets. Forlag stepped forward, his voice low and soothing, a stark contrast to the controlled panic simmering beneath the surface. "Ambassador Thorn, please, we are doing everything we can." He gestured to the medic. "Administer the neural stabilizers. Perhaps we can slow the process." But Thorn saw it, a flicker of something. Fear? In Forlag's ancient eyes, a subtle tightening of his jaw. Something was wrong. Terribly wrong. The medic administered the stabilizers, a viscous green fluid injected directly into Alara's neck. Her body convulsed once, then went still. The faint pulse vanished. Thorn closed his eyes, a wave of grief crashing over him. He held Alara's lifeless body, her small frame unnaturally light in his arms. When he opened his eyes, he saw Forlag giving a curt nod to another council elder, a gaunt being with skin like parchment. The elder then addressed the chamber, his voice booming through the speakers. "A tragic accident," he announced, his voice devoid of emotion. "A malfunction in the experimental energy matrix caused a localized energy surge. The resulting discharge proved fatal to the subject." Zhao recoiled as if struck. "A malfunction? Fatal?" Zhao looked around, bewildered. That's absurd. This chamber is shielded against energy surges of a magnitude 10 times greater. and I understood that the energy matrix was stable enough for presentation. The Elder ignored Zhao's outburst. The Council expresses its deepest condolences to the Earth delegation that a full investigation will be conducted, and all findings will be made available. The words were empty, hollow. Thorn knew it. Zhao knew it. And he suspected, based on the growing unease on their faces, that many of the other delegates knew it too. The air in the chamber, already thick with tension, became almost suffocating. The faint hum of the Council's life support systems seemed to amplify the silence that followed. The cover-up had begun, and Thorn knew, with a chilling certainty, that Alara's death was no accident. Ripples of fury. Static crackled, then a somber face filled the screen. Anchorwoman Isabella Rossi's voice, usually a beacon of calm, trembled. Confirmed. Alara Vinter, the first human child born off-world, is dead. Initial reports indicate a tragic accident during a Council training exercise on Kepler 186F. The broadcast cut to footage of the training facility, or rather, what remained of it. Twisted metal, scorched earth, and a palpable sense of desolation radiated from the screen to a Council representative. A stoic Valerian with eyes like polished obsidian offered condolences in clipped, emotionless tones. A regrettable incident. The Council assures the Human Federation that a full investigation is underway. All safety protocols will be re-evaluated. Across the globe, screens flickered off, replaced by the raw, guttural roar of grief. In New York City, a spontaneous vigil erupted in Times Square. Holographic projections of Alara's smiling face, gleaned from news archives, danced amongst the flickering candlelight. In Mumbai, protesters marched, their faces streaked with tears and war paint, chanting slogans of defiance. In Moscow, the silence was the most deafening, broken only by the choked sobs of mourners laying flowers at the foot of the Cosmos Monument. Admiral Anya Petrova watched the news from her command center. The bridge of the warship Stalingrad, the sterile environment offered little comfort. The Council's explanation felt hollow, too neat, too rehearsed. Accidents happened, yes, but Alara was under the Council's direct protection. The security protocols surrounding her were supposed to be impenetrable. The shiver crawled down Anya's spine, a premonition of something far more sinister lurking beneath the surface. She tapped a comm panel. Chief Analyst Volkov to the bridge. Volkov arrived quickly, his face etched with worry. Admiral, the preliminary reports are insufficient. Anya finished, her voice flat. I want a complete, independent assessment of the incident. Scour every data stream, every sensor log. Leave no stone unturned. I want to know exactly what happened to Alara Vinter. Volkov nodded, his gaze unwavering. Understood. Admiral, we're already on it. As Volkov departed, Anya stared out at the star-dusted canvas beyond the viewport. The Council's explanation hung in the air, a flimsy shield against a growing storm of suspicion. She trusted her gut, and her gut screamed foul play. Alara's death was a spark, igniting a powder keg of resentment that had been simmering beneath the surface of humanity's uneasy alliance with the Council. That evening, a coded message flickered across Anya's personal datapad. A single word, repeated 3 times. Asterisk. Ragnarok. 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 Asterisk. Anya recognized the sender immediately. General Dmitry Volkov, the chief of staff, and a man who had served with her for decades. The word itself was an ancient myth, a prophecy of apocalyptic destruction and rebirth. That IT was also the code name for a contingency plan of a long-dormant project designed to unleash the full might of Earth's forgotten fleets. Fleets more ancient and powerful than anything the Council could imagine. The plan had been conceived in the darkest days of Earth's history. A failsafe in case the Council ever turned against humanity. For centuries, it had remained dormant, a ghost in the machine. Until now. Anya felt a grim satisfaction warring with a profound sense of dread. Unleashing Ragnarok meant plunging the galaxy into war, but the alternative, allowing the Council to assassinate a child and get away with it, was unthinkable. The weight of the decision settled upon her shoulders. heavy as a neutron star. The ripples of Alera's death were spreading, threatening to engulf the entire galaxy in a wave of fury. The future of humanity, perhaps the future of the entire galaxy, rested on her next move, Project Ragnarok. The comm crackled, spitting static before Admiral Petrova's name hissed through the bridge speakers. Every head in the Stalingrad snapped to attention. Petrova, ramrod straight, acknowledged. Petrova here. Ragnarok Keeper Designation Alpha 1, this is High Command. Protocol Omega is authorized, and I repeat, Protocol Omega is authorized. Initiate Project Ragnarok. Godspeed, Admiral. The blood drained from Petrova's face, leaving her skin a stark white against the crimson of her uniform. Ragnarok. The word tasted like ash in her mouth, a forbidden fruit eaten in desperation. She'd known this day might come, had dedicated her life to preparing for it, but the reality struck her with the force of a physical blow. She took a steadying breath, her gaze sweeping across the bridge crew. Fear, anticipation, and a grim determination mirrored her own feelings in their eyes. "You heard the order," she said, her voice firm despite the tremor in her hands. "Prepare for Ragnarok sequence. All departments, execute with extreme prejudice." The bridge erupted into controlled chaos. Consoles blinked, alarms blared, and the hum of the ship intensified as systems were diverted to the ancient protocols. Petrova moved with practiced efficiency, her mind already 3 steps ahead. She accessed the classified server, her fingers flying across the holographic keyboard, inputting the activation codes. Each digit was a death knell, a promise of unimaginable power unleashed. As the final code locked, a pulse resonated through the Stalingrad, a heartbeat of forgotten technology. Then, a vision that IT wasn't a hallucination. Not exactly that IT was a memory, bleeding through the veil of time. A fragment of humanity's lost history. She saw starships, not the sleek, utilitarian vessels of the modern Terran fleet, but behemoths of forged starlight and pulsing energy. They were bathed in the radiance of 1,000 suns, their hulls etched with glyphs that resonated with an ancient, almost forgotten power. Warriors strode their decks, tall and proud, their faces alight with the fire of ambition and the unshakable belief in their own destiny. This was humanity before the collapse, before the Galactic Council's insidious manipulations had reduced them to a shadow of their former selves. A galactic empire, its tendrils reaching across nebulae, its influence shaping the very fabric of reality. They were conquerors, explorers, gods among mortals, and they had been betrayed. The vision faded, leaving Petrova gasping for breath, her mind reeling from the immensity of it all. That a wave of sorrow washed over her, a lament for what had been lost. But beneath the sorrow, a burning ember of anger ignited. The Council had sought to erase humanity's past, to bury their potential. They would learn that some embers refused to be extinguished. Back on the bridge, the sensors are going wild. "Admiral," the sensor officer reported, his voice tight with disbelief, "we're detecting massive energy signatures emanating from everywhere. Dormant nodes across the entire planet are activating." Petrova knew what that meant. The failsafe, the ultimate deterrent. Project Ragnarok wasn't just a plan, it was an awakening. The Earth itself was stirring. Deep beneath the oceans, in the desolate reaches of Antarctica, and buried within the molten heart of the planet, ancient machines, built millennia ago by hands long turned to dust, were powering up. The first sign of life from the slumbering fleet was a tremor felt across the globe. And then, from the depths of the Mariana Trench, a single beam of pure energy pierced the surface, tearing a hole in the sky. It was a signal that a challenge, not a promise. The ancient fleet was waking, and humanity was ready to fight. The sleeping giants awakened. The first tremor registered as a blip on the seismographs in Geneva. Then another, larger, this one originating deep beneath the Pacific. Within minutes, similar events rippled across the globe, triggering alarms that hadn't sounded since the planet's tectonic plates had settled billions of years ago. But these weren't natural. These were deliberate, from the churning depths of the Mariana Trench. a shadow stirred. Not the shadow of a whale, nor the inky blackness of the abyss, but something far more substantial. A leviathan of metal and dormant energy, kilometers in length, began its slow ascent. Barnacles, bioluminescent algae, and centuries of accumulated sediment cascaded off its hull as its plasma drive sputtered to life, bathing the surrounding water in an eerie blue glow. Simultaneously, in the Himalayas, the mountain itself seemed to groan. Where snow-capped peaks once kissed the sky, armored plating peeled back, revealing the gargantuan maw of a warship nestled within the rock. The air crackled with displaced energy as the vessel detached itself from its geological moorings, its gravity compensators humming a dissonant tune that echoed through the valleys. Even the moon wasn't spared as a section of the Sea of Tranquility fractured, revealing a polished obsidian surface beneath the lunar dust. A vessel, angular and menacing, rose with silent grace, reflecting the distant Earth in its polished hull. On the Galactic Council homeworld, in the Grand Assembly Hall, the holographic displays flickered with the unfolding events. Initial reports were dismissed as sensor errors, solar flares, anything but the truth staring them in the face. Then came the high-resolution images, transmitted by automated orbital probes, images that confirmed the impossible. This is preposterous. Counselor Zorgan, 7, sputtered, his chitinous mandibles clicking in agitation. These are artifacts, relics of a primitive species that cannot possibly be functional. He gestured dismissively with a multi-jointed limb. A clever illusion, nothing more. But the images spoke for themselves. Weapons platforms rotated, targeting systems whirred to life, and the sheer scale of the warships dwarfed anything the Council had ever encountered. Whispers of alarm rippled through the assembly. "Counselor, the energy signatures are off the charts," a Quarian delegate chirped, her voice trembling. "They're emitting a unique type of radiation, something we haven't encountered before." Zorgan's 7's facade began to crack. Sweat glistened on his carapace. "Maintain composure. We will analyze the data, determine the source, and..." His voice trailed off, the bravado draining away as another image flashed across the screen. A close-up of one of the warships emerging from the Pacific. The scale was incomprehensible. On Earth, in a hidden command center buried deep beneath the Ural Mountains, Admiral Anya Petrova watched the screens with a grim satisfaction. Her face, etched with years of hard decisions and the weight of command, betrayed no emotion. Around her, technicians worked with feverish intensity, monitoring the fleets. "Awakening. All vessels reporting online. Admiral," a voice announced. "Primary systems nominal. Weapons hot." Anya nodded curtly. "Initiate final diagnostics. Prepare for deployment." She turned to face a holographic projection of the Earth, now ringed by newly awakened sentinels. The fate of humanity, the fate of the galaxy, rested on her shoulders. The weight was immense, crushing even, but she wouldn't break. She couldn't. Anya whispered, more to herself than anyone else. "Sleep well, giants. Your watch begins anew." She knew what was coming. The Council would scramble, they would negotiate, they would try to avert the inevitable. But it was too late. The sleeping giants had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same. The ultimatum. The ultimatum burst forth, a shockwave of pure, unadulterated human fury translated into every language gracing the Galactic Concord's databanks. Every shimmering hollow panel, every subspace comm, every news stream across 1,000 settled worlds echoed with the same austere declaration, delivered in a voice stripped bare of emotion, as frigid as deep space. Asterisk the planet Earth, a free and independent power, requires the complete and transparent truth regarding the death of Alara Venner that we demand. The identities of every individual involved, from architects to accessories, along with a full exposition of their motivations. 72 hours. Non-compliance will be construed as an act of belligerence. Asterisk. Within the Galactic Council's immense, resonant chamber, bedlam erupted. Projected visages flickered and stuttered. Overwhelmed by the sheer vehemence of the response, the riot of voices, modulated and artificially enhanced, coalesced into a roaring chorus of indignation, denial, and stark terror. "This is an outrage," Counselor Forlag bellowed, the Krallian's imposing form inflating with righteous anger. "An unprovoked act of aggression. Does Earth truly presume to threaten the Council entire? We must weigh the consequences," Counselor Lyra cautioned, her Sylvian elegance barely concealing the unease lacing her tone. "Conflict with Earth, the potential devastation." Counselor Zorgan 7, his crystalline carapace shimmering under the artificial glow, seized the opportunity. "Consequences? We quibble over consequences when faced with such impudence. They accuse us of felonies unseen, demand deference as though we were a subjugated world. I say we stand unyielding, we exhibit the strength of the Concord. We refuse their ridiculous demands." A sharp, clicking appendage punctuated his disdain. "Let them come that we are prepared." His pronouncements were met with a dissonant harmony. Some nodded in fervent agreement, spurred by pride and a simmering resentment of humanity's meteoric rise. Others remained muted, their projected faces betraying the turmoil within. The legend of Earth's ancient fleet, whispered in fearful undertones, loomed large. Zorgan 7 exploited his momentum, his voice crescendoing above the clamor. "We cannot permit a single recalcitrant planet to dictate terms to the Galactic Concord. Should we yield to this decree, we invite anarchy, we invite ruin. I implore you, colleagues, stand with me. Let us demonstrate to Earth that the Concord is not to be treated with contempt." The discourse spiraled, a tumultuous dance of political posturing and anxious calculations. Even as Zorgan 7 thundered his disapproval, a frigid ripple of doubt began to spread. What secrets did Earth possess? What evidence did they hold? And, most alarmingly, was this all just a carefully staged performance? On Earth, in the war room, Admiral Anya Petrova observed the Council feed, her expression a mask of controlled satisfaction. The Council's indignant squawking was an anticipated overture to the Tempest. She had anticipated nothing less. Now, the true endeavor began. "Petrova to all squadron leaders," she announced, her voice sharp and unwavering. "Report to Hangar Bay Gamma with immediate effect for briefing." Within moments, the hangar bay vibrated with activity. Pilots encased in gleaming flight suits hastened toward the designated briefing chamber, their faces betraying a blend of anticipation and dread. They knew this sortie was unlike any other. Anya stood before them, the holographic image of the council chamber flickering behind her, a stark reminder of what hung in the balance. Her gaze, piercing and assessing, swept across their ranks, gauging their readiness, their resolve. "You are the vanguard," she began, her voice brimming with steely conviction. "You are the harbingers of Earth's message. Your mission is unambiguous. You will proceed to the designated coordinates within the Council jurisdiction. You will maintain a defensive stance, but you will not initiate conflict. Your singular objective is to ensure our ultimatum is received, understood, and complied with." A brief pause, allowing her words to resonate. "This is not a parley. This is not a plea that it is a decree. Ensure they comprehend the distinction." Anya activated a holographic display, illuminating the coordinates of a strategically irrelevant, yet extremely exposed, star system situated proximate to the Council's headquarters. You will be deploying a listening post there. You will ensure that the requested data is produced. She met the gaze of each pilot in turn. "You must not fail. Gauntlet run." "All right, listen up," barked Commander Elias Thorne, his voice crackling over the comms, a familiar comfort amidst the swirling chaos outside. "We're approaching the primary defense grid. Remember the simulations. Shields up, focus fired out. Let's show these tin cans what a real fleet can do." The viewport shimmered with an oppressive violet light, the telltale sign of Council energy weapons charging that a wave of static washed over Thorne's fighter, the Valiant, as the enemy attempted to scramble their targeting systems. He compensated instantly, years of honed reflexes kicking in. ECM on full. "Break formation Alpha," he commanded, wrenching the Valiant into a dizzying roll. Around him, the squadron, a mix of veteran pilots and fresh-faced recruits, mirrored his maneuver. The neat arrowhead formation dissolved into a chaotic swarm, each fighter a darting needle, making them harder to hit. The Council guns opened fire, lances of pure energy tearing through space where they had been moments before. "Damn, that's heavy." Lieutenant Park's voice trembled slightly. "Taking shield damage." "Hold your nerve, Park," Thorne snapped. "Focus on your target. Remember your training that we've faced worse." He didn't need to remind himself that he saw it all the time, in his dreams, in the faces of his crew. The skies above Earth, burning, the screams of the dying, the impossible odds. The precursor war, that a war where humanity, technologically inferior, had somehow, impossibly survived. That survival was etched into the very metal of these ships, into the genetic code of the pilots who flew them, that he locked onto a Council heavy turret, a hulking monstrosity bristling with cannons. The Valiant shuddered as he unleashed a volley of plasma torpedoes, the ancient weapons, salvaged from long-lost caches and painstakingly restored, were far more potent than anything the Council fielded. The torpedoes slammed into the turret shields, causing them to buckle and fail the second volley, and the turret erupted in a spectacular explosion, its debris scattering like glittering shards. "Nice shot, Commander," Park said, his voice regaining its composure. Thorne grunted in acknowledgement. He was too busy to savor the victory. More turrets were lighting up, their energy focused on the Valiant. He jinked and weaved, dodging the incoming fire, his fingers dancing across the control panel, activating the ship's phase shift module. For a fraction of a second, the Valiant flickered, becoming semi-corporeal, allowing the energy blast to pass harmlessly through it. Precursor tech, pure. "Magic. Fall back to echelon formation," he ordered. "We'll punch through their line. Alpha Team, suppressive fire. Beta Team, target their shield generators." The squadron reformed, their fighters a blur of movement. They unleashed a coordinated barrage of energy weapons, overwhelming the Council defenses. The enemy ships, sleek and modern, but ultimately predictable, struggled to adapt to the ancient fleet's unpredictable tactics and advanced technology. At a warning klaxon blared in Thorne's cockpit. "We've lost Gamma 3, a frantic voice reported. "Direct HIT and O survivors." Thorne swore under his breath. Another life extinguished, but he couldn't dwell on it. Not now that he pushed the Valiant harder, drawing the enemy fire, creating an opening for the rest of the squadron. "Keep pushing," he urged. "We're almost through. Remember what we're fighting for." He saw another fighter explode, a brief flash of light that quickly faded into the void. But the remaining ships pressed on, their determination fueled by grief, by anger, by the burning desire for justice. The Council's defense grid was weakening, its lines buckling under the relentless assault. Ahead, Thorne saw it. The gap, the opening, the way through. "Now," he roared. "Full throttle, let's get this done." Truth exposed. The void warped, then shattered as the squadron tore through hyperspace. Ahead, bathed in the incandescent glow of its parent sun, Cygnus Prime materialized, the Council's shimmering jewel, its planetary capital. Captain Eva Rostova's grip tightened on her command chair, her knuckles bone-white. Beside her, Lieutenant Commander Jian, usually an impassive figure, bore the weight of the moment in the taut lines of his face as he finalized a system diagnostic. "Broadcast array hot, Captain," Jian reported, his voice a clipped cadence. "All channels secured, that we're ready to blanket the Galactic network." Eva's nod was curt, her gaze locked on the iridescent cityscapes of Cygnus Prime simmering below. The air crackled with anticipation, a palpable tension. This was the crux. "Initiate transmission," she ordered, her voice a steel core encased in calm. Let the galaxy witness their deceit. Across Cygnus Prime, the omnipresent Council news feeds faltered. The usual platitudes of harmony and progress dissolved into jarring static. Abruptly, Illyra's image flooded every screen. Illyra, her innocent eyes luminous with joy, playing with her threadbare rabbit on the orphanage steps. The footage was pristine, unaltered, a stinging rebuke to the Council's carefully fabricated narratives. The scene shifted to the security recording Rostova's team had salvaged from the wreckage. Counselor Zorgan, 7, his reptilian features twisted into a mask of glacial fury, issuing the directive. The order to obliterate the transport carrying Alara and her fellow orphans, the decree that had sealed their doom. Then, the final, devastating piece, Alara's desperate last transmission, a static-laced plea, her voice a fragile whisper against the roar of incoming fire. "Mommy, Daddy, I'm afraid." The galaxy held its breath on Cygnus Prime. The hush shattered. The plazas, once vibrant hubs of commerce and political discourse, detonated in chaos. Protests erupted, fueled by white-hot indignation and disbelief. Council citizens, their trust decimated, flooded the avenues, demanding accountability. Holographic effigies of Zorgan, 7, delivering impassioned orations about Galactic Accord, flickered with cruel irony above the frenzied crowds. Within the council chambers, bedlam reigned. Supreme, accusations flew like poisoned darts. Counselor Valerius, his avian features twitching with agitation, slammed a fist against the table, demanding Zorgan 7's immediate detainment. Counselor Lyra, her bioluminescent skin pulsing wildly, shrieked that Zorgan 7's actions had imperiled the entire Galactic Alliance. Zorgan 7, his scales ashen, struggled to reclaim authority. Order! This is a fabrication, human manipulation, designed to destabilize the Council. His voice, normally a resonant cadence, was now a raspy plea, and one heeded him. The evidence was too stark, the outrage too profound. "He's lying," Counselor Valerius screeched, a feathered hand jabbing towards Zorgan 7. "We all witnessed the footage. We all heard the child's final words. You murdered her. You murdered them all." Zorgan 7's guards, sensing the seismic shift in power, wavered. Uneasy glances were exchanged, their loyalties fracturing. Counselor Lyra, her eyes blazing with righteous fire, engaged her personal calm. "To all Alliance forces," she announced, her voice amplified to fill the chamber. "Counselor Zorgan 7 is hereby relieved of his command and placed under arrest for crimes against sentience and violation of the Galactic Compact. He is to be apprehended without delay." The remaining council members, feeling the currents change, scrambled to distance themselves from Zorgan 7. The meticulously constructed veneer of solidarity shattered, revealing the festering corruption and Machiavellian maneuvering that had always simmered beneath the surface. The Galactic Council, the supposed citadel of peace and justice, was imploding from within. Outside, the squadron held its vigil, a silent watchman observing the tempest unfold. Eva Rostova, her expression unreadable, surveyed the turmoil below. It was done. The truth had been unleashed, but she understood that this was merely the opening salvo. The Council's fall would leave a power vacuum, a chasm that would require filling, and Earth, she knew, had a pivotal role awaiting her at a new dawn. The crimson streaks of burning dreadnoughts painted the void. Squadron leaders, their faces grimly illuminated by tactical displays, awaited Admiral Petrova's command. Silence, thick and heavy, filled the bridge of the Terra Nova. Anya Petrova stared at the holographic projection, a swirling vortex of defeated alien armadas. Not annihilation, not conquest, she reminded herself. Guidance. "Open a channel," she finally said, her voice firm but devoid of triumph. "All frequencies, Galactic Standard." The faces of her officers betrayed surprise. They had anticipated the order to mop up the remaining resistance, to solidify Earth's dominance. But Anya's gaze held a steeliness that brooked no argument. The transmission went live. "This is Admiral Anya Petrova. Representing the Terran Confederacy, we have demonstrated our capabilities, but we offer not subjugation, but salvation." Her words, broadcast across the ruined battlefields, carried the weight of unimaginable power. Anya continued. "The Galactic Council is dissolved. Its corruption and blind adherence to archaic laws have led to this catastrophe. We propose a new order, a new council, one built on principles of justice, understanding, and shared responsibility. We will oversee its formation, ensuring every species has a voice. Every grievance is heard. Her words were met with static, with the hushed whispers of bewildered alien crews that a few defiant signals sputtered and died, extinguished by Earth's superior technology. Then, slowly, hesitantly, acknowledgments began to trickle in. Small, desperate pleas for mercy morphed into cautious inquiries, requests for clarification. Squadron leaders, Anya said, her attention snapping back to the bridge. Stand down. Initiate humanitarian aid protocols. Prioritize medical assistance and resource distribution that I want every wounded alien treated with the same care as our own. The reactions were mixed. Relief, skepticism, and simmering resentment were all palpable. But orders were orders. The human fleet, the unstoppable force that had brought the galaxy to its knees, began to perform an unexpected ballet of compassion, deploying medical drones and supply ships amidst the debris. The reconstruction of the Galactic Council was a slow, arduous process. Representatives from 1,000 worlds, scarred by war and disillusioned by their former leaders, arrived on Earth. They were met not with triumphal arches and parades, but with quiet efficiency and unwavering commitment to fairness. The sessions were long and often fraught with tension. Accusations flew, old wounds were reopened, and the specter of Alera's death haunted every discussion. Anya Petrova became the unlikely mediator, a figure of quiet authority who commanded respect without demanding it. She listened patiently, offered pragmatic solutions, and reminded everyone, again and again, of the shared goal, a galaxy where such tragedies could never happen again. One evening, standing on the observation deck of the Terra Nova, Anya looked out at the Earth, a vibrant blue marble hanging in the black void. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily on her shoulders. Alera's face, her bright, inquisitive eyes, flashed through Anya's mind. "We did it, kid," she whispered, her voice catching in her throat. "We made them listen." The war had revealed the best and worst of humanity. The raw, righteous fury that had fueled the initial assault. The cold, calculating efficiency of their war machines. But also the deep well of compassion, the unwavering belief in justice, the willingness to forgive even the most heinous of crimes. Earth wouldn't rule the galaxy. IT would guide it as a silent guardian, a watchful protector, ensuring that the lessons learned in blood and fire were never forgotten. The ancient fleet would remain a deterrent against future aggression, a reminder of the price of complacency. But its true purpose was not to conquer, but to safeguard the fragile peace that was slowly, painstakingly, being rebuilt. Anya turned away from the Earth, her gaze drifting towards the distant stars. A new dawn was breaking, not just for humanity, but for the entire galaxy. And in the quiet depths of space, a small, forgotten world held its breath, hoping, praying that this time it would last.